Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's webcast, the Don't Eat Alone webinar series. Today's session is focused on using RPA to extract PDF data. We're joined by Tromba Technologies with Chris Whitwright. And a couple housekeeping items before we get going is that there's a Q&A box on the bottom left of your screen that you can type and have live interaction with us. We'll be answering questions live as we're going through. So if there's anything that you'd like to know, please just type it into the Q&A box and submit the question, and we'll get back to you in a timely manner. Other than that, we thank you again for joining us, and over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Brandon. Like Brandon said, in the second robotics process automation webinar, we're going to be using a robot to extract information from multiple PDFs. A little bit of background on myself and Tromba Technologies. My name is Chris Whitwright, and Tromba Technologies solutions include cognitive document automation. This is where machine learning enables the classification, separation, and extraction of documents. Robotics process automation, which is going to be the focus of this webinar. Intelligent business process management, which is the process orchestration of all things automation. And enterprise content management, which is the secure and compliant storage of data and documents. Our offerings are designed to help organizations maximize document automation by transforming manual processes into digital automated solutions. This webinar will make an introduction into the Kofax RPA product to show its user-friendliness, to explore its powerful automation features, and to generate ideas on how to apply that automation to current business opportunities. The agenda for this webinar will be getting an introduction to the robotics process automation, cognitive document automation, and intelligent automation. We're going to walk through registering and installing the RPA trial. We're going to create our first robot together, and then we're going to go through examples of real-life use cases that could apply to your business. Kofax automation is the combination of cognitive document automation, robotics process automation, and intelligent automation. Cognitive document automation is automation that centers around modernizing slow, manual, and error-prone document processes. It is the automation of mailroom functions to use machine learning and artificial intelligence to separate and classify documents while extracting key data from those documents. CDA can capture documents from any source. Robotics process automation takes manual, repetitive tasks that your users perform daily and translates them into software robots. RPA becomes your digital workforce, which eliminates data entry errors and provides 100% data accuracy, all while reducing processing times. Intelligent automation is the consolidation of like automation and artificial intelligence technologies to build a software framework for comprehensive automation platforms. Wow, that was a lot of things that just came spilling out of my mouth. So, to simplify this, intelligent automation is the seamless combining of cognitive document automation and robotics process automation in a unified business process management platform. Kofax automation has all of that. And let me just add that, like automation, Tromba Technologies works with all industries and across all departments. Automation is not limited by industry or department. Any kind of manual process has the potential for an automated solution. Kofax automation is a platform that combines CDA, RPA, and process orchestration. When the entire Kofax automation platform is engaged, you can touch all aspects of customer engagement, from the initial touch point with the customer, receiving documents and information, through the process, and even the real-time communication of updates to the customers. The Kofax automation platform is targeted towards citizen developers. Now let me take a moment and explain what that means. The Kofax automation platform is designed to allow end users the ability to design and to configure their own solutions. For you, the business, are the experts with the knowledge. It empowers you to build your own solutions. By building your own solution, it lessens the burden on your IT department. This will help free up IT timelines and their resources. As an example, this webinar will demonstrate the ability to build your own robot as a citizen developer. I encourage you to download your free trial of Kofax RPA. It's free for 90 days and will give you the ability to build your own robots. What you're going to do is you're going to register at the website. Then you're going to download this zip file. You're going to run the installation media. And then an email will provide you all the license information from Kofax. In addition to the trial, Kofax has video tutorials to help you install Kofax RPA and build your first robot. There's free training for many Kofax products at learn.kofax.com. Please feel free to take a screenshot of this slide to refer back to. Now let's walk through our first robot. We're going to be using a robot to extract information from multiple PDFs and putting them into a spreadsheet. So the first thing we do in a manual process is we'd open up Excel. We would then gather the PDFs that we want to extract the information from. And in this scenario, we're looking for maybe the name. We copy and paste the name. We need the account number. We need to format that account number. We need the service address. And even as you can see, the copy and paste doesn't always work as you want it to. The robot will do this all automatically without any kind of user interaction. We need the due date. And then, last but not least, the amount due. I'm actually just going to type that in because copy and paste is not working as I expect. Now, it took me about 30 seconds to do that one line. Now we're going to go to the robot and watch as it does it in real time. So we're in our management console, and we're going to click Run Now. And we're going to go look for our spreadsheet. Here's our spreadsheet. And you can see the work was done for 6 utility bills when it took me the time to do 1. So now that we have our target, we're going to build this robot together. Go into our design studio. We're going to create a web automation robot. We're going to give it a name. And click the Finish button. The first thing we need to do is we need variables that we're going to interact with. The first variable we need is an Excel spreadsheet. This will store our Excel spreadsheet. Second variable is going to be a PDF. So we can store our PDFs and interact with them. The next variable is going to be our utility bill extraction results. So we want to be able to store those. The next one that we're going to need is a row variable. And the one after that is a file name. And the file name will help the loop store our file names. The first step in our robot is going to be loading each file. We're going to insert a step. for each file. We need to give it a directory name. And we need our file names to go into it. The next step we need is the Excel variable. We need to start interacting with the Excel spreadsheet. So we're going to load the file. We're going to browse to our utility bill spreadsheet, and we're going to put it into a variable. After that, we need to open up this variable so we can interact with it. And then we want to start loading our PDFs. And we're going to load our PDFs from that variable, the file name variable. We're going to put this in our PDF variable so we can start interacting with it. After this, we're going to extract to a PDF so we can start looking at the data. And now that we have our PDF up, we can start looking at our data that we want to extract from it. So for instance, we want the name. So we're going to put the name in our utility bill name variable. Now, before I move on, I want to go back one step. One of the ways that you can use Kofax RPA to extract data from a PDF is by using fonts and font sizes, which is what we're going to be doing now. So as you can see down here, there's a font of Arial Black, a font size of 15 point. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up Notepad. This is kind of a pro tip, because Notepad is very easy to use when you're copying and pasting information. So we're going to copy the tag. We're going to put this into our Notepad. We're going to delete all the stuff that we do not need except for the fonts and font size. And then we're going to copy and paste this into our attribute. And we're looking for the attribute style. It's going to contain the text of that. I'm going to pull up our utility bill variable so you guys can follow along. And as you can see, Donald Duck appears in our utility bill variable. We're going to do the same for the account number. The account number has the same font as the name. It's just a little bit different size. So what we're going to do is the same thing. So we're going to be looking for that particular font size. So, style. And it's going to contain the text of 14 point. And you can see that the account number appears here. The next variable we need is due date. I'm going to put that in the variable. And again, we're looking for a particular font size. And this one happens to be 10 point. And again, this is where Notepad really helps out because it's easier to change and then copy and paste to what we need it to be. Next thing is the amount due. We're going to extract that. And again, same process. And for this, it's 11 point. copy and paste. And if you're following along at home, you can see our amount due. All right, last piece of information that we're going to need off this PDF is the service address. So we store the service address in a variable. And we're going to notice that the service address is actually in a different font. So once again, we're going to go ahead and copy this into a notepad. We're going to modify it to just look for what we needed to look for, which is font and font size. So there's our font size. There's our Arial rounded NT bold. And this should look familiar to you guys because this is the exact same kind of fonts and font sizes that we use in Microsoft Word. All right, now that we have all our information, we need to enter it into our spreadsheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to set Excel as the current window so we can start setting the content. The next step that we're going to use is we're going to use the iteration loops from our file and get this into an iteration so we can start iterating the rows on the spreadsheet. Now that we have our iteration, we're going to start setting our content. First one we want to set is the file name, or the bill name. And again, before we go on, I'm going to go ahead and go back really quickly because we want to make sure that this iterates correctly for the rest of these PDFs in that file directory. So we're going to use our variable row to offset it. And you can start seeing that the spreadsheet starts coming together. So we're going to set the content of the account number next. I'm going to go back a step and set our variable. Then we're going to set the service address. I think one of the things I like most about this software is the fact that you can kind of follow along as a citizen developer and see what the output is as you're building it. So if any mistakes were to occur, you'll be able to see that and fix it very quickly. So we need our due date. Again, go back one more time. Make sure it iterates correctly. One last iteration with the row. And we have our first row of our spreadsheet configured correctly. The very last step in this robot is we're going to write out the file. So we're going to write the file. And don't forget the file extension, otherwise you will get an error. All right. We're going to save it. And then we're going to actually upload this to the management console. Upload it. We go over to our management console. And there's our utility bill robot right there. And let's run it. Should only take a couple seconds. Yeah. And we wrote out our utility bill. Yeah. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and look at the use cases for more RPA robots. So there are numerous use cases for an RPA solution. We just demonstrated extracting multiple fields from multiple PDFs. With people working from home nowadays, RPA can be used to organize daily meeting schedules or to send out tasks reminders to teammates. Any kind of data migration or aggregation and then data migration can be performed by a robot. Any employee offboarding or onboarding can also be done via a robot. For more ideas, please visit the 100 use cases at the URL below. And with that, that brings this webinar to a close. We encourage you to start your free trial, so if you have questions, we can be ready to help. Don't forget that our next webinar is May 8th. You will see a follow-up email with details on that. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them to support@trombatech.com. We will be doing a follow-up video with answers to all the questions we collect, and it will be on demand. Brandon, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. And thank you, everyone, again for joining. So as Chris mentioned, if you have any questions, you can submit them to support@trombatech.com. We'll be compiling those questions and then creating an on-demand webinar that you will then be able to view at your convenience. This webinar will also be provided on demand and will automatically be sent out to you. So if you would like to share it with anyone, you can go ahead and do that as well. But as Chris mentioned, we're going to be having our next webinar on May 8th, and we'll be sharing more details with you on that next week. And thank you all for joining again. Have a great, wonderful Friday. And thanks again. That concludes today's webinar.